power it up. Okay guys, I am pretty damn excited. You guys that have been watching for a while know, I actually told you guys several months ago that the ultimate plan for this car was going to be a Holley digital dash. I thought it was going to be a while. Well, it was, you know, I thought it was going to have to be a while. But a couple weeks ago, I told you guys in a video, I was just sick of messing with these factory gauges. I was having all kinds of issues with them. We actually pulled the gauges out, and I just wired up a big autometer tack just so we could take Chaos Theory to the track for the first time. And well, anyway, fast forward, thanks to a little bit of PayPal financing, I went ahead and I ordered a Holley 6.86 dash. Now, originally, I wanted the 7-inch dash, but I went with the 6.86 for a lot of reasons. The main reason being I could not fit the 7-inch dash in my 3rd gen Camaro dash. This is a factory cluster. The steering column rides really high in these 3rd gen clusters, so that's all the space I had to work with the dash. Well, the 7-inch dash would have come down here, you know, way into the steering column area. This 6.86, it actually is still going to come down about this far, just barely into the steering column area, but you know, there's enough room we can make that work. So anyway, let's unbox this thing. I'll show you everything that comes with it, which is part of the reason I wanted it instead of the 7-inch. Anyway, it actually comes with a few things the 7-inch doesn't come with. I'll go ahead and go over some of my other reasons. The IOs with the 7-inch dash, you actually have to buy an additional harness to plug in. With the 6.86, all the IOs, everything comes out of one harness, kind of like it does on the PCM, so you don't have to buy additional harnesses. All you have to do is buy the little pins and, you know, crimp your inputs or outputs that you want to add to this, crimp it into the main harness connector there and plug it in. In addition, the 6.86 dash also comes with a GPS sensor for speed or geolocation, you know, whatever you want to use it for. So that's an added bonus. And I'm rambling. Let's just open this thing. All right, guys. So here we go. Right here. This is just for you guys who might want to know what all comes with this dash setup. And like I said, this is $1,000. Like I said, you can do like PayPal financing, which is what I did, and I think the payments are going to be like $80 a month. I do plan on paying it off early though. Yeah. But anyway, I didn't plan on getting this for quite a while, but when I started having trouble with all the other gauges, I was like, screw it, man, I got to pull the trigger. But you've got a template here. You know, down here is the template. If you want to flush mount it, you have to cut this out. I'm probably not going to do that. Here is the template to cut the connector holes out if you want to surface mount it. And that's probably what I'm going to do, guys. I'm probably going to surface mount it to kind of try to bring it a little closer to me, because the one advantage that the 7-inch has over this is it has a lot larger of a viewing area. When you see how small this thing is, wow, we got some thunder. When you see how small this thing is, you're going to understand why I want to bring it as close to, you know, to me in the passengers or in the driver's seat as I possibly can. But you've got your manual here to show you how to use it. Here we go. So here is the dash itself. There it is, guys. And in case you're wondering, it is a whopping 3.5 inches by, what we got here, a little over 7.5 inches, almost 7 3/4. So if you guys are wondering about measurements, that's your measurements. It's not very deep. It's maybe what, an inch deep. So, but here you can kind of see where I'm going with this. See, here's my gauge cluster. it's going to go right in there like that, right in the middle. But if you look at the back here, you've got your connection for your GPS, you've got two micro USB connections, and then you've got your main plug here. That's it. I know on the 7s you have like a little panel you can remove to add things, add harnesses for extra inputs and outputs. So I'll set that over here. Right here, this is our GPS sensor. Like I said, it just screws into the back, and you know, it's got double-sided tape. You can put it up on the windshield, on the dash, whatever. Right here, we have a USB drive. Comes with a USB drive. It comes with a cleaning cloth. I forget what this thing is called, but it's to basically to terminate the CAN bus. And then right here you have your CAN bus adapter. Now I have an older style HP harness, Holley HP harness, so it doesn't have this type of CAN bus plug. It has the old 2-prong CAN bus plug. So this one actually comes with the adapter to adapt to the old style. And then in addition to that, it comes with, you know, the regular CAN bus connector cord. Now I'm hoping, because my CAN bus connector is actually out of the engine compartment, it's inside the passenger side fender. So I'm really hoping that between the adapter harness and, you know, the main CAN bus harness, that I have enough wire length here to get me all the way over there. If not, we may have to elongate one of these harnesses here. We have our USB adapter right here. Like I said, it plugs into one of these two USB ports, and it actually has the screws to secure it, so you don't have to worry about it popping out. You actually have to screw it in, you know, after you put it in there. Here we have our main harness. So like I said, guys, this thing's got extra inputs and outputs. It actually has 13 additional inputs you can use, and 4 additional outputs. So it's kind of expanding on the 4 inputs and outputs that my Holley HP has. If you were using this with a Terminator, same thing. You know, this will give you the ability to add some inputs and outputs for sensors, things like that. But yeah, it's all in one harness here. And then you've got mounting hardware. You got long screws, short screws, and little rubber insulators here. You know, that's whether you decide to flush mount it or you know, surface mount it like I'm gonna do. That's everything. This is everything that the Holley 6.86 dash comes with. Now, I'm going to go over mounting this in my 1990 Camaro. You know, you could do this the same way if you want. You don't have to, but I'm just going to go ahead for the 3rd gen followers that are on the channel here and show you how I'm going to do it. And as always, I will put a link in the video description, you know, like an eBay search link for all the parts that you see me use here, including this dash and this sheet of plastic. This is what we're going to use. It is 24 inches long by 12 inches wide, more than big enough for what we're going to use it for. What we're going to do is we are going to disassemble our factory gauge cluster, and we're going to take everything from here up off, and the only part we're going to use is this white part. We're going to strip all of our old circuit board, all that off of it. We don't need any of that crap. So there's what we've got to cut out. and I really wish I had a bandsaw. I do not have a bandsaw, so I'm going to test down here and see if I can cut it. I actually went out and got some different blades for my jigsaw, and I'm hoping one of these finer metal blades will cut through this material. So I'm going to try it with my jigsaw first, just because I believe that'll be the fastest way to cut it, you know, without having a bandsaw available to me. If the jigsaw doesn't work out too well, then I'll probably just have to go to my Dremel tool. For that reason, I'm probably not going to record this, because if I have to go to my Dremel tool, it is going to take forever and a day to cut this thing out. So, and in a twist of fate, that can only be described as, you know, bad luck garage style turn of events. Apparently, my little jigsaw here no longer works. Something is loose inside of it. I don't feel like messing with it right now, so let's see what else we can do here. Alright guys, fast funny story for you. I started out trying to use this. This was my dad's old Craftsman jigsaw, and well, it bit the dust. It wouldn't work. So for the whole day yesterday, I was shopping around for a new jigsaw. I was looking at maybe getting a Milwaukee cordless jigsaw, and they just happened to be out of stock on the jigsaw I wanted. So I came home and I was like, you know what? I know I have another jigsaw somewhere. So I go to my shed, I start digging through boxes, and I didn't find a jigsaw. I found 3. So I had an old Skill jigsaw, I had another Craftsman jigsaw that just doesn't have the angle adjustment on top, and then I had, my parents, I think, got me this, or my mom and my stepdad, back when I was like 16. This is an old Black & Decker jigsaw, and that's what I ended up using. So anyway, I just thought that was kind of funny. So I went ahead and I cut this shape out. As you guys saw, I traced this onto this, and that's, you know, that's where I got my shape. So I went ahead and I cut this shape out, and then what I did, and this is just rough guys, I may clean it up a little bit, but it really doesn't matter, because all the outer edges here are going to be hidden anyway once it's back in the dash. So I just set it on top of my inner here, and I just kind of eyeballed, you know, flipped it over and eyeballed where I needed to drill the holes. So I drilled the 3 holes for the top here, but what we also need is we're going to need holes here and here for screws. We're going to need a hole here for this little peg to go through, and the same thing on this side. We need a screw hole here, and a peg hole here. Now you've got these 3 pegs sticking up here, but these don't matter, because this little black guy right here actually goes in like this, and you can see that those pegs are at a different level than the surrounding area. So basically what happens is this piece is going to go on, and it's going to hold this little rubber part, keep it from going anywhere. Now also, our digital dash is not going to fit in this small area. It's actually going to come down into the steering column about that far. It's not a huge deal. I've already kind of set the dash in the car and was looking at it. So basically what's going to happen is we're going to end up cutting out part of this rubber surround here anyway, probably. But anywho, the reason I'm telling you guys this is before I go, I'm gonna have to cut all this out, guys, and I'm not gonna do that with the jigsaw. I'm gonna do that with a Dremel. I'm gonna, at the bare minimum, I'm gonna have to cut a section like this out so that the dash can lay in there. Originally I was gonna surface mount it, but I think I'm actually going to flush mount it, recess mount it, because when I got in the car and got to looking, the further forward it goes, and I still got to check this, guys, but the further forward it goes, the more likely it is to hit the steering column when it tilts. So what we're going to do, we're going to get the rest of our holes drilled. I'm going to set this whole piece, put it back in the dash, and we're going to set our little Holley digital dash up here and see if we can get away with flush mounting it. If we can't, then I'm gonna have to cut this out for the Holley digital dash to be sunk in. But for now, what I'm gonna do, because I want to know where exactly to drill these 6 holes on the bottom, is I'm going to set this guy on here, and then I'm going to set this guy on here, and I'm going to put the top three screws in there, and then that way I can just look right through here and know where to drill my holes down here. Just kind of use my old gauge cluster as a guide. Alright, like I said, now that I've got these kind of fastened down, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to drill the hole all the way through, but I'm just going to kind of go in here and just do that to kind of mark where the holes are going to go. And I'm not going to make you watch that. I'm just going to go all the way across, and I'm going to mark all those holes like that. Kind of start drilling the holes, and then I'll take all this back apart, finish drilling my holes, and we'll move on. You might be wondering, why don't I just push it up here? Well, the problem is if I push it all the way up to the top, then I'm not going to be able to see the top. And on this Holley dash, you have these light bars or these LED lights across the top. I don't know if you can see them in the camera, but you know, they're not only used as a shift light type indicator, but there are extra indicators here that you could use for turn signals, high beams, or warning lights, whatever. And I want to make sure that the trim of my dash isn't covering the top part of this screen, because I want to be able to use those. So, you know, I'm looking at mounting it like this. In order to set it flat, I'm going to have to actually set it upside down in here. But you know, you can kind of see about where it's going to have to be, and it is going to have to protrude just slightly down into the steering column a little bit. I really think this is where we're going to end up, is right here like this. But I'm going to have to pull the trim panel back out of the car, and we'll mount this in the car. We'll put our trim panel back, and then I'll set the dash up there, and we'll figure out exactly what we're going to do, if we're going to flush mount it or whatever. Alright guys, so here's what's going on. We are not going to be able to surface mount it. We are going to have to flush mount it, like sink it back into the panel. And the reason for that is the steering column, as you guys know, like here's the dash sideways. The steering column doesn't just come straight through. It actually comes up at an upward angle. And we're already going to have to cut down into the area that's occupied by the steering column to fit this guy in. Well, the more forward it comes, the more the steering column is going to interfere with it. So we're going to have to try to get it as deep in here as we possibly can, which of course means flush mounting it. So as you can see, you know, there's a lip all the way around here, and I showed you earlier, it actually came with a paper to use to mark where we have to cut here. Now we're going to have to make very precise cuts in this panel right here to do this, because there is really not much of a lip around here for it to catch on after you drop it down in there. So we're going to have to do that with a Dremel tool, you know, to get the cuts as precise as possible. Now what I've done is we're going to have to obviously cut all this stuff out of here too. So I just kind of went through with my Sharpie and I marked how far down I need to cut and all the areas that I need to cut out. You know, basically I'm just cutting the shape of my Holley dash here into this backside. Then the plan is, you know, we'll use our template that came with the Holley dash to cut out where it sinks down into here. We'll get that mounted, mount that to this, and throw this back in the dash and get our wiring done. So I'm going to get a Dremel tool out. I'm going to go ahead and cut everything out of this, and I'll be right back. So I drilled my 4 holes, and what's cool is I think I may have actually got them in the right spot, because when I lay my paper template on there, it actually covers the 4 holes almost perfectly with the stuck out rounded spots on the template. So that's pretty cool. So it looks like all I have to do now basically is, I guess, draw holes. Yeah, or draw lines, I mean. Basically I can just lay a straight edge here and draw a line from the tippy top of each hole to the tippy top of each hole, and from the outside edge of each hole down, and that's what I'm cutting out. So, oh, no, the down one is not from the outside edge. It's actually from about the middle of the hole. So, I mean, as you can see here, guys, on the tops, it's from the very top of the hole straight across, and you know, the bottom is the same way, the very top of that hole straight across. But on the sides, it's not like on the outside of the hole where I need to cut. I need to, on the sides, actually cut on the inside of the hole a little bit. So we'll get that figured out, trace my lines out, and we should be good to go. I made my marks. Basically, I need to cut on the inside of this top line, and yeah, and again, I need to cut on the inside of the sidelines, but I drew this one up a little too high. I think I need to cut on the outside of this bottom line. So inside this line, inside this line, inside this line, outside this line. It looks like it fits almost perfect. I think I nailed it on the first try. Flip it around, see the back there. I mean, I think all I need to do, I think a little bit of grinding around here will allow this part to come down, because I think what's going on right now is it fits so tight up here at the top that it's flaring the bottom out just a hair. So if I grind on this hole just a little bit and right here just a little bit, we should be good. And my initial impression was it was going to be too flimsy, because all that's holding it together is, you know, this thin strip of plastic here at the top. But once this thing's in there, it's actually pretty solid. And in addition to that, you got to remember, it's going to be going on here and, you know, getting screw holes in it all around. So I think this is going to be good. The next thing I'm going to have to do is I'm actually going to have to bend some brackets, and I'm kind of disappointed in Holley for not including some brackets for flush mount with this. But basically what I'm going to have to do is take some pieces of aluminum and drill these two holes, and then bend it at an angle down where it'll kind of hold, trying to explain this, where it'll kind of, you know, hold this up against the plastic, if that makes sense, so it don't fall out. Okay, so I'll find me some metal around here to do that with, and I'll show you guys that when I get it done. It's going to fit just fine in the second part of the dash. Come around back here, you can see I kind of drew a squiggly line, but I just need to trim a little bit more off right through here to allow me to, you know, plug my connector into the back there. Yeah, after that, that should be good. So we're working on the brackets. You can see I've already got one in, which is enough to hold it, but I'm going to make one for the other side just so it pulls this down flush. But here you go, guys. It's the back side. This is the bracket I made. And basically, you can see all that is I took a flat piece of aluminum stock and I bent it at an angle. I drilled the two mounting holes, and so when I tighten it down, it wedges the Holley dash up against this plastic, and you can see I'm holding the plastic by the Holley dash right now. So, you know, that ought to do it. So now that I've tested that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually going to take this one back off so I can use it as a template for my second one for this side over here. Once that's done, we will try to shove this in the car. Now, I have already kind of went over there and took a look at it. We are going to have an issue. It is going to hit the steering column. What I'm going to have to do is, in order to get this in, I'm actually going to have to drop the steering column down about an inch. Well, I mean, at that point, I'll probably just go ahead and drop it all the way just to make things easy. But I'm going to have to drop the steering column down, put this in, and then bolt the steering column back up. And what I'm hoping is that there's a plastic collar that goes around the steering column, guys, but it doesn't move. And I'm hoping that what I can do is just bring the steering column up, and that plastic collar will just kind of mush in a little bit against the bottom of this, so it'll kind of seal it off where you can't see behind it. But if not, what I may have to do, this actually sticks down and hits the steering column by about, man, maybe not even a ½ inch. So what I might end up having to do is make spacers for the 2 steering column bolts and just let the whole steering column be about a ½ inch lower. But we'll see how that goes. I'm going to bend this metal up, make this other bracket, and yeah, we'll check it out. So there's my 2 brackets that I made. Not too pretty to look at. And here's the thing, guys, about what I'm doing right now. I'm not really worrying about making this beautiful. The fact of the matter is, if you want to make this beautiful, you could. You could do exactly what I'm doing and take more time, make it look nice. I'm just worried about function, guys. That's pretty much it. I want this in there, and I want to get this thing back out at the track again soon. So anyhow, so see, that's how it goes. This slides in. We flip it over, and then our brackets go on either side. I hope you can kind of see, but our brackets go on either side. I'm actually going to have to trim this one a little bit. It looks like it's too long, and they just bolt down. And like I said before, it wedges the plastic in between the lip on the Holley unit and the bracket there. Okay, so like I was saying, in order to get this in, we're actually going to have to drop the steering column down. Hopefully once we get it in, I can put the steering column up, and this collar right here, this is plastic. So I'm hoping that when I push it back up that, maybe this plastic will push down a little bit and I'll be able to get the steering column all the way back up. But if I can, it's no big deal. We'll space it down about a ½ inch and we should have the clearance we need. So up under here, all I got to do to drop the steering column down is we've got this bracket right here. There's a bolt right there, or a nut on each side. We've got to take that out, and then back behind there, there's a nut right there on each side, and that will lower the steering column. So, and then once I get it down, we'll go ahead and wire everything up and stick this thing in and get this over with, guys. All right, so I got the bolts out. You can see the steering wheel's dropped way down there now. So at this point, what I'm going to do, we need a battery hot, we need a ground, and we need a ignition hot. So all those I'm going to be able to pull from our old plugs here that used to go into our factory dash. Pull those out. You can see I've already tapped into some of them for the tack that I wired up. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out our harness for our new Holley dash. I'm going to get those 3 wires hooked up, and we'll go from there. You can see what I'm doing here on the back of my cluster. I'm just going ahead and plugging this in. We will also be plugging in our USB cable right here, and of course we'll be screwing in our GPS sensor right here. Now, one thing I am worried about is that we may have to take a hole saw and drill a hole like right here in the middle area here, just to let all the wires pass through, so they're not hitting on this plastic. We'll find that out in a minute. But also in the future, we're going to be running a wire into one of these extra inputs here. We're going to be doing one for well, you know what, I'm not even going to go over all that because that's not important for this video, but we're going to be doing a wire for our fuel gauge, for a transmission temp, for a nitrous bottle pressure. We're going to do inputs for all that back here, just so I can monitor all that through the Holley software. But for now, we're just going to finish up with the basic installation here. Okay, guys, so the only issues that I had clearance-wise, I've got to clean this up. You can see where I just had to drill this hole here. The only issues I had clearance-wise was going to be for the USB cable, where it hooks into the back, and I thought the GPS sender might give me a little issue. So I just took a hole saw and pretty much dead center in my dash here. You can see I cut like a 2.5 inch hole out. I accidentally, my hole saw blade got into my duct a little bit for my defroster there, but that's not a big deal. Race car. So anyway, that's done. As far as my GPS sending unit, all I did was I dropped it down next to my defroster vent here and fished it through. But this is the sending unit I showed you guys earlier. It comes with some 3M tape you can stick on there. It's also magnetic. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some 3M tape, and I'm just going to stick it right there down in between my defroster ducts there, and that should be out of the way. It should get a good reading there, good signal, because it's through the glass. So yeah, that's pretty much it. The only other wire that I really have to fish through here is my my CAN bus wire. I'll have to fish it through and all the way over to the other side, and my CAN bus connection is actually inside the fender on the outside of the car there, so that's where that'll plug in. For now, I'm going to hook my 3 wires up. I'm going to vacuum all this, you know, my 3 wires, my constant hot, key on, and my ground. I'm going to vacuum all this mess out where I just drilled that hole, and I'm going to go ahead and put everything back together. Check that out. We got everything back together in here. There's the dash. Try to get you a better view. It's kind of hard to see, but anyway, there it is. Everything's mounted. If you look over there, you see a black wire and a red wire across my shifter. All I have left to do is run those wires behind the console over to my bulkheads and connect those to battery ground and battery hot, and we should be ready to test this thing. Here we go, guys. Moment of truth. I don't know if you can see it back there, but it's kind of dark in this car. But the dash is installed. Let's power it up. Oh, boom. Wow, guys, I'm sorry. My it looks like my camera is not picking this up too good. I'm not sure what to do about it. Hell, let's start it. Maybe if I get it, yeah, if I get it closer. There we go. Start it up. Come on. Oh, it's working. There we go. Oh, this is awesome, guys. Oh, this is so awesome. Now we should be able to toggle to some different screens. Yep, we've got that screen. This screen. Like I said, I don't think my camera's picking it up too good, but that'd be a good screen to race on. Nope, there it is. That's the screen we're probably going to use to race, because it's really easy to see. Oh, this is awesome, guys. I'm excited here. So we got fuel pressure, coolant temp, oil pressure over here, but we can add more stuff to it. It's even got a little speedometer up here. I like this screen, guys. There's room for me to add other stuff. That's a pretty cool screen. This shows our AFRs too. Yeah, this is just badass. Oh, there we go. There's a good drive around screen. It shows fuel pressure here, oil pressure. This is just awesome, guys. And then here's just a kaleidoscope. See right here, it shows nitrous, and it shows progressive stages, like how much it's progressing in. And you've got an enable and a disable switch. I'm not sure how, well, I don't have those set to do anything, so that's probably why they're not doing anything. Yeah, but you can make those switches functional. You can add your own switches. Here's nitrous pressure. I do plan to add something there. There's timing. I like this screen, guys. This is a really good screen right here for you know, tuning probably. record, for data logging. If you have a Dominator or an HP like I do, you can actually use this to tune instead of a laptop, so that's pretty cool. So I am super stoked right now. I would like to take this for a drive, try out the GPS speedometer. You can see where I ended up wedging my sensor up there. I'd like to do that. Unfortunately, it's I don't know if you guys can hear the thunder rolling in the background, but it is about to just dump rain. It's actually already been rained a little bit, and you know, we got these slicks on the back, so it's really not a good combo. But just a couple more things I want to go over. Like I don't know if you can see it here, but my USB, currently I have it coming out this hole. I have ordered a round USB extension, and what I'm hoping to do is get rid of the cigarette lighter and mount that extension right there. This will plug into the back of it, and I'll just have a USB 2.0 plug right here instead of a cigarette lighter. That way I can plug in, like you can plug a keyboard and mouse into the USB and use that to set up your screens instead of doing everything with the touch screen. You know, you also update firmware, load tunes, all that through this USB if you need to do that. So I just want to make it easily accessible. I had thought about just mounting it in the little cutout here, but I'm actually wanting to put a switch here for something else. So I don't figure I'm ever going to need a cigarette lighter in here, especially since I don't smoke. So that's probably where we're going to mount the USB thing. It'll be just right here, right up here. It'll have a little snap cover over it. Hopefully I'll get that in the next few days, and all I should have to do is pull the old cigarette lighter out, screw that to the back, and then plug this USB into it, and that should be set. But that's pretty much it, guys. That's our install of the Holley 6.86 digital dash in Chaos Theory here. So I'm going to get in here, edit this video so you guys can watch it, for you guys that were wanting to watch it and kind of wanting to see how I mounted that in here. Before I go, let me see if I can light this up so you guys can get a really clear picture of what this looks like in here. But there you go. I mean, it looks pretty damn good, guys. Like I said, there's a row of LEDs across the top of it that we'll be programming for a shift light for shift points, things like that. If you want turn signals, you know, you can program. I'm gonna set this right here on the steering wheel. If you want turn signals, there are extra LEDs, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, here and here on both sides. You could set those for turn signals, for high beams, whatever. But what I'm going to do, if you guys remember back in the DR Nova video where we made the custom dash for the DR Nova, I actually ordered the little arrows that mount in here, the little 16mm arrows. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put an arrow here, an arrow on the other side, and then probably a high beam indicator right here. But that's it, guys. That is our Holley Pro Dash install. I'm going to go edit the video. You need to get out in the garage, get something done, and I will see you next time here on Bad Luck Garage. Freaking love this thing, man. Love it.